Okay, today we're going to be talking about evaluating functions giving function notation. Okay, so you guys remember functions, for each input there's an output, right? So what we're doing today basically is we're going to see a new kind of notation where it describes the function, and you guys have probably seen this before. In fact, I know you have last year. Um, basically all we're doing is evaluating that function, so we're trying to find the output given a certain input. Okay, so what we see here, and this is what we call function notation. So instead of saying y is equal to 3x minus 2, they say f of x, where f is the name of the function and x is our input. Okay, so as long as x is the input, we don't have any known output because it's basically infinite, right? Could be whatever I plug in for x, could be anything. So x is just basically a placeholder right here. That's saying this is what is input and this is the input spot. Okay, so wherever x is, that is the place in the function that I would substitute out for whatever number it wants me to plug in for my input. So for example, number 1 here wants me to find f of 4. What it's saying is it wants me to determine what the output is of this f function when I input 4. So all I do when I'm figuring that out is I ignore this part and I just look at this part of the equation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the variable with the number it wants me to plug in. So instead of being 3 times x, it's going to become 3 times 4 minus 2. 3 times 4 is 7. Or not 7, 3 plus 4 is 7. 3 times 4 is 12 minus 2 is going to be 10. Okay, so f of 4 is going to equal 10. And that is my answer. Okay, so when I input 4, my output is 10. That's really all it wants you to do, is just figure out the output given some kind of input. Okay, so sometimes it might be a fairly simple input. It might even be a like 4, or it might be another variable. So f of b, it's wanting me to replace my input of x with an input of b. It's going to be pretty easy. All I'm going to do is replace the x with b, and it'd be 3 times b minus 2. Well, do I know what b is equal to? No. So these aren't like terms, I can't combine them. There's nothing else I can do. So f of b is just going to equal 3b minus 2, and that's all I can do. That's my answer. Okay, so all I did was replace the input with the desired output, simplified as much as I could. Okay, that's all I could do. Similar to this, I have 2.5a. If I replace x with a, it would be 3 times 2.5a minus 2. 3 times 2.5 is going to be 7.5, is that right? Yeah, 7.5. So I'd have 7.5a minus 2, and that's what 2.5a equals. So that's my answer. You'll notice I'm writing out what this is, how it's equal to. I don't necessarily expect to do that. You can just do this, and that's fine. I would accept it. Okay, but this is the more, I guess, proper way of writing out your answers. But I'm not going to ding you if you write it out a different way. Okay, what about this next section here? This next section has two variables and has two functions. It has an f function and a g function. So again, it's wanting you to replace the variable and the functions with whatever input it's describing. So f of 2, I would replace the x's with 2. So I would have 2 squared plus 2 all over 2 minus 3. So 2 squared is going to be 4 plus 2 is 6. And 2 minus 3 is going to be negative 1. 6 divided by negative 1 is just negative 6. Okay, that's all I got to do. Let's try this one. This one's g of negative 1, so it's wanting me to replace the x's in the g function with negative 1. So it'd be negative 1 minus negative 1 squared. Well, -1, this is where we get kind of tough because we're operations. But -1 squared, I'm going to do that first. So -1 squared, -1 times -1 is going to be +1. So then I have -1 minus 1. -1 minus 1 is going to be negative. That'll be my answer. Okay, not too tough, right? But if I see the g function with a bigger number, so 3, so 3 minus 3 squared, 3 squared is 9, 3 minus 9 is going to be -6. Okay, just plug in what it says and you get your answer.